2024 marks 10 years of our racing now, and we've been very fortunate to race some incredible cars at some fantastic circuits around the world, including Sepang in Malaysia, Spa, Belgium, Paul Ricard in France, Barcelona in Spain, and back in the UK, Silverstone, Donington, Snetterton, Brands Hatch, to name but a few. We've got a lot of great plans for this year's season, so if you follow on our website, you'll see what we've got coming up. We've been concentrating recently a lot on endurance racing, 12 and 24-hour racing, which not only is a test on the driver, but it's a test on the preparation of the car to make sure that it lasts the duration of the race, which is no small feat. We've been racing GT3 class and GT4 class. GT4 class actually more important with our BMW and McLaren. The data that we're obtaining from the race cars, which have a very similar powertrain to the road car counterparts that we're tuning every day, is invaluable. We're looking at exhaust temperature, intake temperature, coolant temperature. Sometimes we find an additional hardware solution that can help in conjunction with the software. On the McLaren, we've split the charge cooling system from the main engine cooling system with twin electrical pumps, which has dropped the intake temperature by 18 degrees C, which means that the car can run more ignition, more power, more efficient, and better longevity. So when we're racing, it's for fun, but also we gain a much deeper insight into how these cars are performing. What this allows us to do, having these cars on track, is to data log the cars for a prolonged period when they're operating right on the peak of their performance window. You're never going to be able to do that on the road. We're not only taking our race cars on the circuit, but we take many of our development road cars on track days and on private test days where we get to test the car for a prolonged period, the very peak of its performance window, which means we get the feedback that's invaluable to us. Off season, we do a lot of testing at Paul Ricard circuit. Not only is it a fantastic facility and the weather's normally pretty decent, but also it gives you the ability to really test the limit of the driver and the car, because instead of gravel traps all around the outside, the blue and red lines, for those that don't know, are a highly abrasive surface. So the blue is one level of abrasiveness and the red is much higher level of abrasiveness, but although it's quite harmful on the tyres, it will stop you most times from hitting the wall. And at the beginning of the year, we do a week's driver training in Finland, ice driving with the hugely talented Armin Schwartz, who runs a fantastic operation. Hugely recommend checking it out. What this does is just hone your car control, especially at higher speeds, so that you feel relaxed when the car starts moving around, and it's something that really helps get you in the mindset ready for the season ahead. And it's an awful lot of fun too. Our GT4 cars have a lot of creature comforts such as aircon, electric windows, power-assisted braking, which can make the GT3 car feel a bit hostile to begin with. It does get pretty hot inside, and it's a very physical experience. Full braking pressure is about 110 kilos you're pressing onto a brake pedal, and you're doing that 15 plus times a lap. It can be quite exhausting, but when you get used to it, the experience is phenomenal, and we're very privileged to be able to drive such a car. These scroll you through the different menus on the dash, which you're monitoring everything from brake pressure, exhaust temperature, gearbox temperature, intake temperature, lots of stuff that you've got to keep an eye on, especially if you're a longer race. We have push to talk, which is a radio back to the pit. If you're behind a safety car, you might want to have a fuel saving map to keep the engine running cool and save a bit of fuel for when you might need it later in the race. Your throttle map, which is when you want a more aggressive throttle to snap the car and help the differential lock up. ABS, depending on the track conditions, or tyres, as the tyres warm up, if the track's dry, that's your selection there. Traction control, and you have a mechanical brake bias switch over here. We have a rear view camera inside because you can't really see anything otherwise.